Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is holding above 41k, and that for me confirms what we talked about in the last video. After retest of the 39.7k support level, that Bitcoin is now staying in this area and will move higher at the moment, at least in the short term. We're going to take a look at that. Generally, the whole crypto market currently having a little bit of a move up after many sideways days. Yeah, so many cryptos are currently breaking out of patterns, those patterns we talked about in previous videos, just looking great generally across the market. And yeah, however, is this sustainable or not? I still have my reasons to be skeptical, but we've been talking about potential price increases for a long time now, as many cryptos that I am covering have reached my target areas, and because Bitcoin could, in its alternative scenario, break to the upside, and that would also, for many of the altcoins that have reached their target areas, could mean that they could develop their first larger wave one before they will come down with Bitcoin again. Yeah, in this alternative scenario, when Bitcoin will probably make a lower low, these altcoins could make a higher low, for example. Yeah, so we are at interesting times at the moment. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. This is still my Bitcoin scenario. We are here in this sort of triangle formation. One possible way to count it, I'm not telling you this is the right way of counting it. I'm a bit skeptical about it, but it certainly can explain what is happening in this triangle. It is here based on the Elliott wave method, the triangle wave count. We've got your A, B, C, D, E, where we would move up from here. So down here showed you that pattern and said, if you really want to count it that way, the next move that we would expect is move up. It then started to move up, and it starts to move into this direction, and therefore I'm actually looking forward to see what's going to happen up here if it gets to that wave E. Actually, to get to that wave E area, it needs to get basically above 45k. It would at least need to touch that resistance level here. And then typically, I mean, it can overshoot the preceding waves a little bit. But typically what you would expect is that you do this wave pattern, yeah, A, B, C, D, E, where you touch the support and the resistance of that range, and then you would in the next move, you would actually move down, yeah, because you would exit the triangle to the opposite side of the wave E. Now, as I said, we are here in a very extremely difficult space at the moment. There is a lot of uncertainty in the market, and at the moment everything that is happening in this triangle is purely speculation. We are in a range, and we have to wait now how the market is deciding. I've got two scenarios on the charts here, what is going to happen in my opinion after we break out of that triangle. So my primary scenario would still be that from anywhere in here we are going to get that sell-off into the target area down here, located between 20 and 29k. That hasn't changed at all, hasn't changed since November, since we talked about it, since we started the downtrend. That has remained my primary expectation. We already came very close, down from 67k to, or from 70k nearly, to 33k. We missed it a little bit, but to be fair, when we came down to 33k, Bitcoin was very, very oversold. So down here we talked about an increase in the price, and it happened. We did get to I think the maximum what it could do in that movement. However, we are now moving sideways, and I told you as well that this is a wave 4, and a wave 4 can take very long. Now, I didn't expect it to take that long, but it really is taking long. So hopefully you were prepared for that long sideways movement, even though I don't like it. It is also a direction moving sideways, yeah. And anyway, this is the primary scenario to sell off. The alternative scenario would be to break above 45.5k, and then to move into this target area up here between 55 and 65k, from where we would then sell off, yeah. Because the reason I say that we have to sell off once more is because Bitcoin is not in a sustainable uptrend yet, and also it has not made a lower low. It needs to do that lower low compared to what we did in June, July. Otherwise, all-time highs will hardly be possible. Of course, it can do it. It can move to new all-time highs. Not telling you it won't. Yeah, there is always a probability. I would only give it around 10 to 15% that from here we really will move to new all-time highs. I still think we are going to see this scenario here play out with around 60 to 65% probability. you know, then we give it maybe here a 30% in this range and then a 10% that we actually move to new all-time highs. I find it very, very unlikely, but I also have to be honest, and nobody knows what is going to happen. We can only move the market here by understanding probabilities, yeah, and that is just how it is. That is just reality, really. Oops, that is not intended. So from here, what are we doing now more imminently? So you can see on the chart here that we have come into this zone. Yeah, I just marked that zone in the previous video on the chart, so to give you a better understanding of the range in which we are currently, because we can really split this triangle in various ranges. So we had this range down here, basically between that white ascending trend line and the 39.7k level, in which we traded for a while now. And I told you, if we break above 39.7k, then you see quite a significant move, especially as we were very, very little, we saw little volatility. So whenever you see a period of little volatility, then, or small volatility, then you typically after that get a bit of a pump. Yeah, I wouldn't consider that a pump yet, but we are certainly moving here finally and see a little bit of volatility. Now, we're moving a little bit slower than I anticipated. I told you that if we break 39.7, we should very swiftly or quickly get to the top of that range, because there isn't really a lot in terms of previously traded volume in this area. So the resistances are quite low. And you can see that this was key support level here, key area of trade around which we traded. Here you can see that on the VPVR indicator, that spike in historical volume. And now that we broke 39.7, there are peaks here as well, but there is really not a lot, you know, compared to what we had before. And therefore, yeah, my understanding was that we are moving here quite quickly to the upside. To be honest, we are doing that, but still fairly volatile. If you look at the daily or the hourly and the 4-hour candles that are, you know, moving up here compared to what we did back here in March, and compared to what we did back here in February, and compared to that move down here also in February. So in this range, whenever we were in this range, we moved up quite quickly. Now, to be fair, we have a little bit of previous. Here you can see that here, middle of February, we had a bit of support resistance here. I think we might be approaching that zone, therefore see a little bit of resistance, but on the VPVR, you can actually see the higher we go, declining peaks. So we should really be able to get to that top of that zone now at 42.7k sooner or later. I'm not telling you it's going to happen tomorrow, but that is what I would expect is going to happen. But again, also telling you that whatever is happening in this space here between between the resistance and the support line of that triangle, so basically between 38k and 45.5k, it is just volatility, and it is not really telling us anything about where the prices could be moving next, because yeah, we are in a range, you know, and the market now needs to decide. In here, it's really, really difficult to really make it out. We are currently back above the 20-day moving average, which is probably a good sign, generally for a bullish scenario. But then again, in this range, we have crossed around that 20-day moving average for a while now, and it is really not respected very well by the price at the moment. Moving averages generally are only useful in an uptrend or a downtrend, not really in a sideways movement phase, yeah, because you cross a lot with them and they get less meaningful. So if we move to 42.7k, if we break above that, then the next level would be that 44.5k. We've got support to the downside at 39.8, 39.7k. On the 4-hour chart, we still have more room for further upside, absolutely. The MACD is starting to lose buying momentum, yes, but we still on the RSI have a little bit more movement, room for movement on the hourly as well. Good thing is to see that we have moved from the bearish range on the 1-hour RSI into the bullish range between 50 and 70, yeah, and we're holding there as well. So what we could be doing here is just a consolidation now before another move up. Maybe you can call it a bull flag, yeah. We have seen an engulfing green candle, and now you're just moving sideways, consolidating a little bit before the next move up. That is certainly a possibility, and that is also what I would primarily expect now in the very short term. Before then, my primary expectation will get fulfilled that we are selling off to the downside. But you're prepared, hopefully, for that alternative scenario as well. Generally, the indicator's turning a little bit bullish on the daily as well. RSI is back in the bullish range, yeah, and the MACD is turning bullish as well, which indicates also further upside movement in the next few days. We already talked about that bullish crossover on the 2-day and the 4-day chart, that they could really support this alternative scenario to the upside. Yeah, so we have we have the things on the charts that would support it. And yeah, on the weekly as well, we are constantly reducing negative momentum. And it is absolutely valid and absolutely possible that we really get into this area up here. And it will be very interesting to see which scenario is actually going to play out. All right, so hopefully that was a useful update about Bitcoin. If you like the update, please hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. And if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.